So Daniel chapter 2, quick review before we get into Daniel chapter 7 and verse 38. If you remember, Nebuchadnezzar had a dream. He couldn't remember it. Daniel was able to give him the interpretation through the power of God. And this is the interpretation. Just going to go over it real quickly. He tells Nebuchadnezzar, "You are this head of gold," in verse 38. Nebuchadnezzar, the head of gold. Babylon is the head of gold for that statue. "After thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee. This is the chest and arms of silver. The Medes and the Persian, representing the two arms, come together in one big strength like the chest, and they take care of the head of gold. They are the second kingdom in this timeline. And another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth." This was Alexander the Great's Greece, the brazen warriors. He conquered the entire known world. I believe it was by the age of 32. I could be wrong on that. And they conquered the entire known world. This is the third kingdom. After Babylon was the Medes and the Persians. After the Medes and the Persians was Greece. The next kingdom, the fourth kingdom, is Rome. The fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, the Roman Iron Age. Remember this iron, very important. "For as much as iron breaketh in pieces," listen to this language, you're going to hear it repeated in Daniel 7. "For as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, it shall break in pieces and bruise." This is a strong iron subduing kingdom that breaks in pieces, a very powerful kingdom. "And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it the strength of iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay." Here we have feet with 10 toes. Okay, remember, Rome divided into the Eastern and Western Empire, and then it fragmented into 10 kingdoms. And we're going to go over those again in Daniel chapter 7. So you have iron continuing down to the feet, part of iron. This is Rome continuing through the ages. I just got back from DC, and it's all Roman architecture there. Rome still continues through the ages. "And the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay." Remember, the clay represents the body, which is the church. The clay represents the body, so you have a mixture of church and state. "And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken." All right, that's our review. Let's jump over to Daniel chapter 7. So remember, the book of Daniel is simply a repeating and expanding of itself. So Daniel chapter 2 is the foundation for all time prophecies. Daniel is going to have a dream this time, not the king Nebuchadnezzar. God gives Daniel different symbols for many of the same things. And we're going to see it again. This is just a repeating of the timeline here in the vision, in this vision. "Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the great heavens strove upon the great sea, and four great beasts came up out of the sea, diverse from one another. The first was like a lion, and it had eagle's wings, and I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted from the earth, and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, second like unto a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl, and the beast had also 4 wings, and dominion was given to it." All right, so the first was like a lion, it has eagle's wings. If you look at Babylonian architecture, there's full of lions with eagle's wings. This represents Babylon again. We're just going through that repeating and expanding. Another beast like unto a bear, and it raised itself up on one side. One side was bigger than the other. The Medes and the Persians came together. You had the Persians were much stronger. This is why you hear of the Persian Gulf, Persian rugs. You don't really hear of anything of the Medes because they were consumed by the Persians. The Persians were much stronger. It had 3 ribs in its mouth. These are the 3 major kingdoms that the Medo-Persians destroyed: Babylon, Lydia, and Egypt. It was between the teeth, and it said, "Arise, that devour much flesh." So they were a very conquering kingdom. And after this, and lo, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl, and the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. So this beast had 4 wings. Things that fly with 2 wings. If you're flying with 4 wings, you're much faster. This speaks to the speed that Alexander the Great conquered the world. The 4 heads are the 4 generals that took over after he drank himself to death. By the way, the leopard represents King Dionysus, that was the god of alcohol, and he was found riding on a leopard. And so this speaks to Alexander the Great drinking himself to death. After this, I saw in the night vision, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, listen to this language, and strong exceedingly, and it had great, what kind of teeth? Iron teeth. This is Rome, this strong and terrible and dreadful beast, just like that iron legs that break in pieces. Here we go. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had what? 10 horns. So you see the iron from the iron legs breaking in pieces, continuing in this timeline, the 4th kingdom. And it had 10 horns, just like the 10 toes. And I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were the eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. So you have these 10 kingdoms, and another one comes up. You have 10 horns, then a little horn comes up, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. These 10 horns represent the 10 divisions of Rome. These 10 divisions, Rome divided, or was taken over by the Alemannis, the Franks, the Visigoths, the Burgundians, the Suevi, the Anglo-Saxons, the Lombards, the Heruli, the Vandals, and the Ostrogoths. Okay, those were the 10 kingdoms. Before this little horn came to power, before it became a nation, it took up 3 of the first horns. So you had those 10 horns, they were in power, 3 of those horns were plucked up, and then this little horn became a power. These 3 horns that were plucked up were the Heruli, the Vandals, and the Ostrogoths. They were annihilated by that little horn. Little horn had eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. And I beheld till the thrones were cast down, the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. And his throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. And a fiery stream issued and came out from before him. This is speaking of Jesus. Thousands and thousands ministered to him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. There is a judgment that Jesus sits on that happens after these 10 kings, which already happened. Okay, the judgment was not before, it is after that in this timeline. And a fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands and thousands ministered to him, 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. And I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and given to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away from them, and their lives were prolonged for a season and time. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven. And they came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given to him dominion and glory and kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion. It shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. This sounds a lot like that stone that came and destroyed all the other kingdoms in Daniel chapter 2, and the kingdom that stood forever. Now Daniel's going to explain the dream. He asks the angels that were with him, so he told me and made me to know the interpretation of these things. These great beasts, which are four kings that shall rise out of the earth. So these 4 beasts are 4 kings or kingdoms. And the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever and ever. So these 4 beasts come out of the earth, but Daniel's saying that the saints will take the earth one day. Then I would know the truth of the 4th beast. This 4th beast caught Daniel's attention, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron. This iron Roman beast, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn had eyes and a mouth that spoke very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and the judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So, who is this little horn? Well, according to history, the little horn is the kingdom that uprooted those 3 kingdoms, the Ostrogoths, the Vandals, and the Heruli. If you look in history, you will see that this kingdom, which is Roman, that mingles church and state, that uprooted those 3 kingdoms. We see here that it, later it says, shall speak great words against the Most High. It shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. They shall be given into his hand a time and a times and a dividing of a time. I am going to get into that in the next video. So far we see that Daniel was given a vision that repeated King Nebuchadnezzar's vision. You have the 4 kingdoms. The 4th kingdom is that iron Roman kingdom that uprooted 3 of those original kingdoms, and we'll get into more of that. Let me know if you figured out who that little horn is just based on the information. Leave it in the comments below.